You're listening to Real Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out realradio.com. Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown, episode 235 with Owen
and Ted.
We are Facebook Live for the very first
I know,
time.
man. I'm all nervous now.
No radio edits, buddy.
We have a live non-studio audience out there today.
I wonder if anybody will even watch.
I don't know. We're going to find out. I forgot to message my mom. She's usually my loyal follower here, but
just watch your tongue.
Yeah, I know. I got to dial this down, make it PG this episode.
Dude, by the time this episode actually releases here in about 2 weeks, we will just be days
away
from the RIA Mastery Series, the mid-size multifamily playbook.
I can't wait, man. This is going to be fun. We have an all-star lineup of multifamily experts that are going to be hitting the stage at the Aloft West Hotel, and excited to see all you guys there. I'm talking to you people, and we have, I think this is going to work. We have a discount code.
Yeah, capital O. WEN 50, and
Yep.
you put that in at any point, it's $50 off your ticket.
There you go.
Now, if you're buying the ticket today when this is live, tickets are still $199, or if you're not a member, it's $300. That $300 includes your RIA membership, and that will give you $50 off. You're already saving $25 on the RIA membership by doing that package deal. So now you can save pretty much $75.
Just savings galore, people.
the money is
it's almost like we're paying you to go there. Is all we're saying.
Pretty much are.
Anyway, get out your credit card and get a hold of what's the best way for them to purchase tickets.
Yeah, so if you go to REIA Mastery Series, so RIAMasterySeries.com, you can buy your tickets right on there. We do have 5 speakers, and then you and I will be emceeing the event. More Owen.
Of course.
But, I have to be able to stand up there because we're going to have 6 credit hours, and I'm the accredited speaker.
Hanging in the balance of your performance, Ted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So this is cool. So the reason why the 6 credit hours is a big deal. So for those of you that are licensed realtors out there or brokers, you can have, I think you said depending on the state, or it's Nebraska specific.
Yep.
So you'll have 12 credit hours of continuing education requirements during every year.
Yep.
And you can knock out half of that just by attending this super fun event. And you get to see Ted's lovely face there.
Yeah, and yours.
That's right.
Yes. And so, hey, we have, if you're joining, you're going to get we have breakfast sandwiches in the morning being provided before the event between that 8 and 9 o'clock hour. Each speaker is going to be speaking for an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be 10 to 15 minute breaks per session. These speakers, we will cover giving you the details about the speaker when we're introducing them. But the speakers are just really going to stick to the specifics on what they're trying to get to you. So we're getting right to the meat and potatoes.
And we've got local legends here. We've got Wyatt Simon, Andy Corey. We've got Jerry Schlickburn. We've got Chris Pomerlew, Colin Schwartz, myself, and Teddy Kosh taking the stage. So anyway, that's coming in fast here. So don't sleep on this one. We'd love to see your lovely faces there. But what do you got going on this week, Ted? I had a little hiatus from RIA Radio, and I appreciate you picking up the slack with, as always, the Tatty Investor, the call to the bullpen. Is she a lefty? I have a feeling she's a lefty.
I didn't pay attention.
Is she right, left-handed?
Okay. I don't pay attention to that.
She seems like she'd be left-handed. But Megan, thanks for covering for me. I hear you did an awesome job. We've got the upcoming episode with Justin Silverio.
Yep.
Oh no, that's actually already happened.
It would have been last week.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So you obviously enjoyed that episode, so you know what I'm talking about here.
Yes.
But what else, man? How's things in your world?
It's been fun, man. I just listed my 5 unit back on the market today, so we'll see if that gets going. Last time it sold twice, and then both times.
Is this like a 2-year listing that you've had it out there pretty much?
Well, I mean, again, it was sold twice.
People, this is our old podcast studio. Ted would really appreciate it. This is
autograph the door.
Yeah, this is an iconic piece of Americana specific to RIA Radio.
You should buy it.
No thanks. I'm good. But so this is a monumental day for me, man. It's kind of a big deal because today at 11 o'clock, actually it already happened, I hope, I am selling my very first rental property that I ever bought 20 years ago.
Is that an emotional attachment?
Not at all. At all. No, I am very happy. I had a great couple of tenants in there the last 14 years, and they finally both moved out, and I'm ripping off the Band-Aid, man, and getting some of that equity.
Yeah.
Because I need it. It seems like my job lately is writing big checks.
Lots of furnaces and air conditioners. Huh?
Yeah. And oh man. So yesterday I brought this up, I think a couple episodes ago, but I was talking about getting boilers inspected as an insurance requirement. So the inspection happened yesterday. Ask me how it went.
How'd it go, Owen?
Well, it went the direction of everything is rusted out. Everything is pretty much shot and unrepairable. And we're going to need a brand new boiler. There are a bunch of buildings in this property. So
you will stick with the boiler systems?
I don't know that, because here's the deal. The chiller is also bad, right? Chillers and boilers typically are married together in, older properties a lot of times, and even newer ones now, honestly. But like a chiller system and a boiler system, they are not cheap, right? And we're going to have to replace both. So my two partners in this deal, I was talking with them about it. And I said, at this point, there is ductwork there, right? So would it make more sense for us just to get central air and forced air heat and upgrade the panel? So I don't know what those costs are going to look like, but I mean, we're talking probably 80 grand for a new boiler. The chiller is like 160 plus fees and taxes and whatever. So we're probably talking, 250 grand.
But you said everything's rusted, so all the piping's rusted too, right?
I'm talking about the boiler itself.
Just the system itself.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it is. So I haven't crawled through and looked at all the piping, but it's not good, man. $250K.
Why is there ductwork?
For the chiller, and the boiler provides the heat, obviously, and that's typically done through radiators.
Yep.
But in this, I don't know, but the chiller obviously has ductwork because it's a central, cooling unit, and it has to be, piped in, basically. So there's ductwork there, and that's usually a big expense if you're looking at converting a property from, boiler heat to a furnace. If it doesn't have ductwork there, that's not cheap. And you got to cut drywall and it's a whole thing. And you got to upgrade your electrical service and all those things.
So a lot of new house constructions, you'll see them, instead of putting ductwork in, they just now are putting like the tubing in. Have you noticed that? It's like a kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a dryer vent tube.
Oh, you mean kind of the industrial looking, like the round pipe. It's not the square pipe.
And it's real loose.
Yeah. A lot of them have it exposed now. So it's like the hip thing, where really it's just people are lazy and they don't want to do ductwork, I think.
But everybody's doing that now instead of the ductwork on new construction homes, I'm starting to notice.
Not everybody, but
it's got to be way cheaper, though.
Well, you're still hanging ductwork, right? And that stuff is the square stuff that you typically stick in walls is not going to be the same price as the rigid, round, stuff that you have exposed in the ceiling. So anyway, not cheap. Big old check I'm going to be writing. So pretty much I'm going to go like this and grab the check from my rental that I'm selling and hand it right over to somebody else.
Hey, at least you're not going to pay for that then.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So write off.
But that was So 20 years later, I'm pretty much just handing all the profits over to a vendor. Is the deal on it?
Nothing changes. Though.
I know.
It doesn't matter what size you get. It's smaller.
No, it does not.
It's just big. It's just an extra.
It's another zero. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, the zeros get more prevalent the longer you do it. But so I had that, and then I also have. So this hasn't been a great week for me again, but I have a deal that is. I'm watching it fall apart in front of my eyes with a multifamily property that I've had under contract for 30 days. And the due diligence period just expires, I think, today. And we're offering them an extension because the financing isn't working. And it was weird because the buyer on this property, or potential buyer, I hope, they were just zeroed in on one bank. And it happened to be the actual bank that already has the loan on the building
which you think would be easier.
Right. And so the guy that I know that works at this bank, he actually came out, walked the property and all that, looked at it and everything. And then
does that ever happen?
No, okay. I've never had that happen. I mean, actually, I take that back. One time we had a lender where we were in our Branson hotel conversion. They actually came down from St. Louis and walked it. And that's, they approved the loan. So, but anyway, super frustrating. And I'm like, has the guy checked with any other banks? Like he put all of his eggs in one basket with one bank and then they kicked it on day 29. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, go to different banks.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
what'd your bank say? Like, what is it?
They said the DSCR based on the net operating income and debt load wouldn't cover their DSCR requirements because they had like a 1.2 or 1.25. And he was only doing a 75% LTV loan. And this was a 1031 exchange. So he had like 500 grand worth of equity that he was going to roll into it. And that should have made the numbers work. But now the bank's like, no, we're only doing 75%. So you got to bring 5% more. And this is, 2.65 sale price. Yeah. So he's got to come up with, 150 extra grand that he doesn't have. And so then I was like, look, I'll carry some of the financing.
Yeah, financing.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll carry a couple $100 grand. And then there's a lot of back and forth on this, but then my broker was like, oh well, maybe you could do 500 grand at 5% or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that at all. I'm like, I'll do 200 grand at 10% with a 2-year balloon, interest only payment. That's all I'm willing to do. And then the lender came back and they were like, okay, if you do a seller carry, the way that we can make this work is if you do a $500,000 note at 3% interest with 30-year amortization. I'm like,
like, you guys do that.
Okay.
You guys
let me get right on that when the banks are at like 7,
Yeah.
I'm like, no. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm trying to figure out if this is actually still a deal or not. We extended the DD period for a week, just so they can get their poop in a group.
It's funny. I have a 8 unit that I'm trying to sell right now for a client, and we had a buyer come and my client's like, he goes, I'll carry 50%. It needs to be 7% over 30 years. Balloon in 10.
Yeah.
And we went through it all. And then he's like, he's gone through multiple lenders and he can't find any lender that will accept him doing that.
They don't want to subordinate, or they don't want to have a second lien position on the property. Yeah, that's a challenge too. But there's a ton of commercial banks and brokers out there that can put these deals together. So I put like my list. I'm like, dude, just call these guys. Here's my list. Like, there's 10 people here. Call them. What are you doing? So I'm really frustrated with the lack of just not looking at all the options and just zeroing in on one bank.
And your agent's a dual agent too, right?
No, this is he's the selling agent and there's a buyer's agent that's involved.
I mean, that buyer's agent, if I was that buyer's agent and I got that big of a deal online, I will start calling the bank.
Right. Yeah. So, and he is now that he has that, but we just didn't know that this was, we thought everything was all good and it's now not.
Oh, God, I
so dumb.
It's like my 5 unit that I just put back in the market today. The first time it sold, it was like day of closing. They're like, 20% ain't going to work. We want 40% down. And he was a brain.
Okay. Let me just pull that out of my butt.
He was like a brain surgeon for infants. That was his job. And this guy had plenty of money. He's like, I'm not going to pull that much money out. This is ridiculous. I can cover it. He's like, but why?
Right.
And after that, he got frazzled and was out.
I tell you what, man, nothing really grinds my gears about lenders more than the last minute freaking changes. And we had that happen with our hotel conversion project too, where we thought we were getting 80% debt. And when it finally came down to it, they wanted like 65 or something. And this is multi-million dollar projects. We're like, dude, okay. Like, if I called you today and I just said, hey, you're going to have to bring $2 million more to closing, you just be like, okay, I'll do that. No, you're going to. So anyway, we backpedaled out of that, went into another one, but
that's today's grind. Owen's gears.
Yeah. So I just got back from a little family vacay last week. So like I mentioned, Megan covered for me, but I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama, had a nice little relaxing family vacay there. That was pretty.
What did you guys
slick.
do?
Nothing, pretty much. Sat on the beach and pool, and like went to outlet malls and shopping for the kids and whatever. So pretty much nothing I wanted to do, but the beach was fine and it was very chill, and we had a really nice condo on the beach, so it was real easy. But the only thing that sucks, I really like Gulf Shores, and there's a lot of like crazy good golf courses there, which I've been there one other time and we went like that's all I did. This time I didn't golf, just did family stuff, which is fine.
Did it kill you?
What?
Was it killing you inside that you couldn't go golfing?
No, it was fine. Like I golf enough, but I did kind of want to play. I was like, oh, I played that one before. I wish I could now, but it's more of a hassle. It's because then it's like, do I want to take my clubs just to play like one round? And it's, they got to pay for it and like all that. It just wasn't worth it. Or you get rental clubs and they're like, it looks like somebody's been hitting it off the frickin',
like me.
Concrete. Yeah. So whatever, but it was fine. Nice and refreshing. Now I'm back in the chaos, but
welcome back.
Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, so it's been a slew of bad news here in my week returning from vacay. So
it is what it is.
I'm still alive. Oh, what else, man?
Went to caffeine cap rates yesterday. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a smaller turnout, but yeah, we had probably, 12 or 15 people there, and there were some late attenders like Ted.
I was on time.
Were you?
Yes.
You were 15 minutes late.
I was 15 minutes early, thank you.
No, it's not 10:30, it's 10.
Mm-hmm. You guys were all still in combo mode.
Yeah. You got waiting on you.
You were not waiting on me.
But anyway, we had a really good conversation yesterday. You dropped a lot of good tips on midterm rental management. We're talking, by the way, about my coffee meetup that I have each week at 10 a.m. on Thursdays. Sozo Coffee in Omaha. Please fly in if you're listening to this from elsewhere. I'd love to see you.
Hey, Jackson flew in.
He did. I know.
Week.
And went. So this is, you guys need to get off your butts here and come to these things. But we covered a lot of stuff. And one thing that we covered yesterday, but I also want to bring up today, is the golden nugget.
Yeah.
Golden nugget. So today's golden nugget is, okay, this is a reminder. So when you're leasing out residential property, you're typically going to have something in your lease that covers late fees, right? Everybody typically does if you are involved in real estate investing. And what I think gets overlooked a lot of times, and I've seen this on a couple of cases recently, not cases, but situations where people did not have any idea what the state regulations were about how much they could charge, if there was a grace period, how much they could charge for return check fees, those kinds of things. And I'm bringing this up because of this situation that this kind of newer landlord discovered where they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Each state is going to have slightly, well, it could be wildly different if you're in the coastal areas, but in Iowa and Nebraska, where a lot of our listeners operate, there are state laws about how much you can charge and how that all works. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. So in the state of Iowa, for example, your late fee is capped at a max of $12 per day or $60, whichever is less. And that's for rents that are equal to or less than $700. I think it's less than $700. If rents are more than $700, it's $20 a day and $100 max that you can charge for late fees. In Iowa, there are no grace period requirements. So grace period meaning you give, like, rent's due on the 1st, but you have until the 5th to pay it. That's very common in leases. So if they mail in the check and you get it on the 3rd, it's not late. But you don't necessarily have to do that. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but there is no state legal requirement. And in Nebraska, there is actually no cap on late fees. However, it has to be, air quotes, reasonable. And what I've seen a lot, and what I have in most of my Nebraska leases, is a 10% late fee for rent. So if it's $1,000, there's a $100 late fee, right? And there's also no grace period in Nebraska. Now, the return check fee, the max you can charge in the state of Nebraska is $10. So anybody catching this episode, this will obviously apply to you if you invest in either one of these two states, but check your landlord-tenant law for late fee, basically parameters on how much you can charge, grace period, no grace period, return check charge, all that stuff. And ChatGPT is your buddy, so that can do some quick research for you.
I cringe every time you say
ChatGPT. I wish you started using that after getting my advice of using ChatGPT more, Ted.
Out of here. One thing I would say, though, is when it comes to leases, when people are investing out of state, a lot of them are using property managers. They're not.
You're right.
I mean, I'm not going to manage my own properties if it's not my hometown.
You're absolutely right. However,
yes,
one of the conversations I had was the property management company didn't do the research.
That's crazy.
And these do change. I'm not saying they're up for like legislation changes every year, but if you think you're good because you're
nowadays you don't know. I
right.
feel like it is.
Yeah, exactly. You may be operating off of a lease that was fine 10 years ago, and maybe the property management company hasn't double checked recently to see if there's any law changes. So you got to stay on top of this stuff. And then, you and I were talking yesterday. There were, Atlanta and the state of Maryland just enacted some legislation where they are really focused on Section 8 and the lack of basically there's a lot of uncertainty around here on what federal dollars are actually still available for what programs. And I can't remember. I'll have to look at this. I wish I had it pulled up here. But Atlanta, I believe, said that they're putting a freeze on what you can charge for Section 8, basically rental rates. Mm-hmm. And so no adjusting upward, they're locking them in place. And then Maryland was like, I think they passed a law similar to what Lincoln, Nebraska recently did, where they now no longer will allow Section 8 discrimination when it comes to housing.
Yeah. And when you're taking applications, you have to take every single Section 8 application and look at them equally, too.
Yes. You cannot just set aside the ones that are in a subsidized program because you don't want to. You have to include them now in your tenant pool or your applicant pool and process them accordingly.
And that's so confusing.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, a whole nother set of rules. If they could just fix one thing, though, under Section 8, it would be that they don't have to get re-inspected, because you already have to have a Section 8 inspection. And then, like in Omaha, for instance, you have a rental inspection. And so you're getting double inspected, which is absolute bullshit.
You're exactly right. Yeah. It's just like the more layers they put on this thing, the more inspections that are involved, there's more cost, there's more time, there's more repairs that you're probably going to have to do. Yeah, I agree. It's stupid to have redundancy in that with two programs that should operate hand in hand.
You should get patted on the back. Like, hey, thank you for taking this program.
Right.
You don't have to get double inspections.
Or, just get the housing authority on the same page at what if the Omaha, municipality is going to require those rental inspections for a fee, why not just have their exact same parameters that they're inspecting for? Because you could get 2 different inspections and have a whole list of different stuff that you're supposed to do.
You also
it's so
could,
dumb.
You also could be in the same program, have 2 different inspectors, and have two
You're right.
different lists.
Yep.
Because
And
nobody follows the same crap.
And just to kind of further the point a little bit here, the Lincoln legislation that passed that started requiring this resulted in a big uproar from people that are longtime landlords there. And basically, they're now putting together a lawsuit against I don't know what authority it is, but basically the housing authority or whatever that's in charge of the Section 8 program there. So stay tuned on that. If you're operating in the Lincoln market or have considered it, make sure you stay on top of this type of activity when it comes to new landlord-tenant law, because it can and will affect you.
I mean, there's a lot of conversation right now that there's been a mayor change in our local town, and that those laws are going to be on the ballot here real soon.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it just sucks because you think you're good, right? You're operating a business and you know, kind of like the playbook. And then all of a sudden you've invested a lot of money into this business, growing your rental property portfolio. And then all of a sudden they come along and they're just like, oh yeah, and we're not going to allow that anymore. And you're like, okay, great. You just made me pretty much want to get out of this business. And now I'm not going to be providing rental housing. So is that what you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the kind of like second and third layers down of the ripple effects of this are going to be stuff that's probably not great.
Yeah, if rent control is the thing that's going to be really scary. If that happens. I'm in the middle of a book right now, and they're talking about how when rent control was going to come to Manhattan, I think it was in the 70s, that all these landlords started selling off all the real estate because of this. And then they started buying the land that was underneath the building.
They had a recent article, I was just reading, kind of skimming it yesterday, about Billionaires Row in Manhattan. That's like, there were people, like you said, they owned the land under the building and they had like a co-op agreement. So people were really able to still, get pretty decent housing rental rates. And then they went and basically reassessed the whole thing, because when the area originally put that agreement in place, it might have been 50 years. I'm not sure. I'd have to reference the thing, but the real estate has gone up, because New York, it's like, the Bronx is terrible. And then all it's like, oh, now it's the hip place. And, same thing. So it's like the boroughs there in New York seem to like change depending on what decade it is on where it's, hip to live. And this whole Billionaires Row wasn't what it is now back then when they enacted this stuff. And now they basically assessed it or figured out, okay, what's the land actually worth? And now people are like, I can't afford it. Like, they're going to have people leaving there en masse. So yeah, a lot of stuff can really affect you if you're involved in real estate. So make sure you just a reminder here, stay on top of your local and city, state ordinances around operating rentals.
You always got to tamper with
Always got to mess with stuff.
I mean, is anything else more scrutinized than real estate?
I don't know that it is now.
It's got to be one of the hardest businesses overall because of all the changes. Everybody in the administration thinks they need to have their hands in our business.
Well, that, and it's like landlords get a bum rap. A lot of it is well deserved for people that are crappy landlords, but there's ones that operate really good businesses and provide affordable housing for people and don't charge through the nose for rent just because they can. And unfortunately, that gets lost in the noise. And they want people, if it bleeds, it leads. So they want the headline stories where greedy landlords are terrible people and taking away housing from people that could afford it if it was on the part of the housing inventory. So it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, nowadays it's the slumlords are the only ones that you can get a rent that's under $1,000.
You're right. Yeah, and deal with a ton of deferred maintenance and terrible responsiveness.
I mean, there was a whole multi-level apartment building that was just shut down.
Oh yeah, so City View Apartments in Omaha has been on. I don't know if it's been national news, but it's for sure been on the local news like a whole bunch of times for deplorable living conditions, like feces, rats, cockroaches, bed bugs, you name it.
Non-working
elevators when you got handicapped people living in the building. Like you got all kinds of safety issues and stuff. They just moved the last. I want to say it was like my wife told me this last night. It was like the last 10 tenants I think that were hanging on in there. They just finally got them all out. So it's all vacated now. And this is a very big property.
Yeah, it's what, 15 stories?
Yeah, something like that. It's a very large apartment building.
I mean, what are they going to do with that building now?
I don't know. I know a couple of groups that are taking a swing at it or trying to try and buy it. But
do a flip?
Yeah, I don't know. Or a burr or whatever.
Are you in part of one of those groups?
I am not. I don't think.
You don't think?
Not yet, anyway. I don't. Yeah, that thing is the epitome of a toxic asset at this point.
Let's say that you're buying that property.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be like, we need affordable housing. That's going to be heavy on that property.
Sure.
But there's nobody that's going to look at that and remodel it and be like, oh, let's make this a C-class property.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I think
you're going to have to redo everything.
And you're going to have to redo everything. And if you wanted a market rate rent property, it's going to be way, way, way more expensive than it ever has been in the past.
And there's no parking.
Well, I guess you could probably look into doing a LIHTC or, an LIHTC program where it's low income or income based and get subsidies somehow for that. I won't get in too far into that because that's a long conversation. But, there's probably stuff like that could be done. But it all depends on who the developer is going to be.
I mean, there's some people in town that we could talk to about those programs. That might be a good future conversation too.
Yeah, and there's a guy named Rob Woodling. I know he's presented at Collins Meetup. This is several years ago, but he does a ton of LIHTC stuff. And we may want to revisit a convo with Sam Tavis. He's been kind of digging into the LIHTC world lately too. So that might be, we should maybe revisit and get some more info out there to the listeners.
Yeah. If there's some specific topics you think that it would be fun for us to hit on one of these Monday episodes, please let us know.
Oh, show.
We put it in the comments on our Facebook Live that we're doing right now, which we're not sure if we're ever going to do it again.
Yeah, we'll see. I have to see what the reaction is here.
But, hey, before we wrap up, let's talk about Jackson UD, our podcast for next Wednesday.
Yeah, coming up. So Jackson UD, Ted, kind of did the intro today and brought Jackson into the fold, and he was our call to the bullpen too.
Yeah,
because we didn't have a guest lined up for today. But yeah, Jackson, a really interesting story that has started as an engineer, has an engineering background, and some family members involved in the business. Has done flips, has done rentals, long distance real estate investing, specifically in the Omaha market.
I'll start off in San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, San Francisco Bay, moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and has been buying stuff in Omaha, using Ted as a random agent his wife found on Bigger Pockets with Ted's
a funny conversation.
20-year-old picture that he has on there.
He is not 20 years old. He's like 3 years old.
Anyway, so yeah, but Jackson, and I feel kind of bad now that after we wrap this up, because we just finished recording that, and he told a lot of like cautionary tales and bad stuff that happened, and like we didn't really showcase all of the successful projects he's done in a very good way. So it seems like he's failed like over and over and over again, but there's a lot of success involved.
There was a lot of good conversations in that. In the end, off air, I go, Jackson, man, I go, I'm gonna lose every real estate client I have.
It's like, oh, Ted's like, oh, buy this house, and he's like, oh man, $25,000 later or whatever, plumbing issue.
At one point, I had like a list of over 300 clients that I would find properties for nationwide.
Yeah.
And that list is probably shrunken down to like 25 now. But
yeah.
But I'm like, man, my out of state investors, they're not going to call me anymore.
Oops.
Yeah. But we had fun. He's been a great client. May, his wife, has been absolutely awesome. May, his wife has got family in Fremont and Columbus. So there was some ties into the area that way. And I mean, Jackson's just one of those guys that he comes in town once a year. We always get together, have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's always just been straight up, very positive kind. And, I think he had so many learning lessons out of those fails that he thought that would be the best, podcast content for us.
Yeah. And
focus was.
And you'll have to check out the episode because he actually was telling a disaster story about a deal that went really bad. And he goes, I'm trying to remember how he put it exactly, but he basically said, like, I don't think I've ever yelled at anybody before, but I really was mad at that. Like, he's like just like the most chill dude. Like, he seems like he just lets stuff roll off of him. And
when I first started working with him, I thought he was a total hippie. I had no idea what he's doing because he had long hair down to here.
Oh, really?
Real chill.
Oh my God, I cannot picture that.
And then he's like, yeah, that was my California life. And then he goes, Tennessee's a little different, so I cut off the hair.
Oh my God, yeah. And he's, we've had a lot of people on over the years on the podcast who have been all about trying to get out of the rat race, building their rental portfolio so their income exceeds their expenses and they can get out of their W-2 because they hate it. Mm-hmm. He's interesting because like he really likes his job and he's good at it, and he is kind of on that engineering career path, and he figured out how to make this work despite having a newborn and two even like kids that are older than that, but they're
younger. Yep.
Yeah, they're he's got 3 young kids at home and a W-2 job. And he's figured out how to do this. So anybody that's like, oh, I'm so busy or whatever, just listen to this episode. And you're going to figure out that you need to really get off your butt and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I can do this too.
15 active units in Omaha, actively flipping houses right now back in his hometown, doing lots of crazy stuff. And it's a family business.
Exactly. Yeah. So real good conversation there. Wide ranging and
very real.
Yep.
Very real, very raw. So definitely stay tuned to that. Well, before we wrap up here, guys, and our live audience, we appreciate you guys. This is episode 235 of the Real Estate Rundown. And if you guys like what we do, we appreciate if you guys would share this episode on your favorite format. Either it could be Facebook Live or get on to any podcast, YouTube, Rumble. give us a 5-star review, give us a written review. We love to read those online. It kind of brings us up. It lifts us up.
Yeah.
So
I need to be brought to my happy place after all the stuff that's gone sideways for me this week.
Alex Pardo did call me the other day. He's like, man, how do you guys get so many 5-star reviews? I'm like, we got some dedicated listeners.
Yes, we do. We appreciate you guys.
But with that, Owen Dashner, we see us out.
On behalf of Real Radio, Aiden Bear, and Ted Kosh, I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to the Real Estate Rundown. Signing off. Where are we at, man? Golden nugget.
Well, usually in today.
Usually you pick up on my social cues here.
I didn't know you were going golden
Okay, golden nugget.
Golden
Damn
nugget.
it.
There it is.
All right, that's a wrap, peeps.